Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am really excited to meet and introduce to you Dan de Vries, and let me tell you about Dan. He is a passionate career coach with a unique focus on supporting young professionals. With his highly personalized mentoring approach, Dan delves deep into individual needs to help those young professionals, advance their careers. He's on a mission to empower 1 million young people. He offers free content, courses, and one-on-one career clarity for those young people he's searching for. So if you're a young person needing help, he's the guy. With 20 years of industry experience, he brings valuable insights that resonate deeply, providing understanding, support, and empowering his audience to build their dream career paths. Dan shares strategies for boosting motivation, nurturing well-being, acquiring new skills, overcoming challenges, and building a strong professional network. He is committed to helping you not only build a strong professional network, accelerating your career, but also enriching it with purpose and leveraging your capabilities to highly innovative solutions with defense. Let's just correct that. He served, let's just stop there for a second.
Yep.
Dan shares strategies for boosting motivation, nurturing well-being, and acquiring new skills, overcoming challenges, and building strong professional networks. He is committed to helping you not only accelerate your career, but also enrich it with purpose and fulfillment. He served as the head of emerging programs and AIC at HeliMods, where he leveraged the emerging capabilities and highly innovative solutions with the defense and aerospace sector. He was awarded the Griffith Award for Academic Excellence in 2023. Now Dan owns his own company, AIC Connect, dedicated to connecting Australian businessmen to the defense industry. We're going to talk about corporate crossroads, navigating the paths of employment and entrepreneurship. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Dan de Vries. Dan, so cool. You just like a diverse background here. And were you surprised about your Griffith Award for Academic Excellence? That had to be.
Thanks, Vicki. It's well, that one's kind of predictable because you get to see your grades beforehand, and if you hit a certain level of grades throughout the year or the course, then you can almost be kind of predicting whether or not that happens. But it is a nice feeling of acknowledgement. It does feel good.
For sure. So we always start with some easy questions to get going here. The first is, I think I gave away, but where do you call home? Where do you live?
So I live in Brisbane, which is in Australia, which is for those of, I guess, in the United States that may not be aware of the geography of Australia. Most people know Sydney because Sydney is like the Australian city. Brisbane is about 600 miles north of Sydney. It's much warmer in winter. We have better weather. Those of us that live in Brisbane and in Queensland kind of think that it's the best, but obviously there's always the rivalries between cities and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's warm. It's warm weather most of the time. It's the middle of winter right now, so for me, I'm wearing a jumper, but I think it's what is it? It's 7 degrees outside, and that's about as cold as it gets here.
Oh, wow.
So that's 7 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit.
I don't know. I don't know the equations. I went to Malaysia and they were telling me it was this in Celsius, and I was like, I don't know. I'll have to Google. I'm sorry. Yeah. It wasn't cold, so I was cool. But I think I had a person that I worked with at UPS when I was there, and their family lives in Brisbane, I believe, because I remember her talking about that. So either she spent time there or that's where her family is, but she talked highly of where she lived. So I'm thinking maybe it's Brisbane.
Sounds good.
We gave kind of a background, but it really was you as that successful person. But I'd love for you to share about your journey, that you as that young person trying to find out what is it that I want to do? What do I want to be when I grow up? And what inspired you? What moved you to do what you're doing today?
Oh, so obviously we all like to portray an image of success. Everyone wants to be successful. So that's always part of the bio and the story. But none of us start off from that position. We all have to figure out how to get there, and it's an ongoing challenge and journey, regardless of whatever stage you're at. So I started. I guess I'll start the story when I left high school, and I actually wanted to get into a mechanical engineering degree, and I missed out by just a tiny little bit. And so I ended up going into commerce, which for me was not a great mix, great match. And I did 12 months of university, and I dropped out because it was just kind of boring. I didn't like it. It was I'd done 12 years of sitting in a classroom listening and writing things down and sitting still and not doing anything real, well, not like hands-on.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do another 3 or 4 years of that, as an 18-year-old boy, pretty keen to get my hands dirty and do something real. So after 12 months I dropped out of uni, and I went and did what's called a pre-vocational course. And it was another classroom situation, but it was specifically for where I ended up taking my career, which was aircraft maintenance engineering. And so I did avionics, which is the electronics and electrical and navigational systems, that sort of part of aviation. And so I trained up in that, and I got an apprenticeship, and I became an apprentice aircraft maintenance engineer. And that for me was so much more suitable. I got to touch things and use tools, and as a young male, that was really, really important for me. I didn't want to sit behind a desk. I didn't want to do that kind of, for me, what seemed like the most boring thing in the entire world.
Yeah, for sure. And
so that's where I started.
What boy doesn't like planes and helicopters and spaceships? My gosh.
Exactly. And it's technology, it's things that fly, it's things that have really cool, I guess flying is cool, but then you add all the extra tech and gadgetry to it, and it just makes it way more interesting, especially for a young male. So, and I still love gadgets and flying and stuff today, right? Like that's not going to change. And so I did that so I did an apprenticeship and finished that apprenticeship in about 2.5 years, roughly. And then I was a fully fledged aircraft maintenance engineer, but I was working on high fidelity training systems. So I don't know, not many people have seen what a flight simulator looks like a proper one that's used for airlines and for the military. Those were the things that I was supporting. I was maintaining those, fixing them, making them work properly so that the pilots could do their training. And it was really cool. It was amazing. It was awesome. And so that's how I got into my kind of initial career track. I started off as a technician, fixing things, and over the years I did that for quite a long time actually. I was a technician for around 12 years, and that's a long time to be doing one role. I did it across multiple companies, but it was effectively the same role. I moved from one company to another, and then one company to another, and yeah, but it's very fulfilling. It was awesome, and it's techie, and I'm a nerd, and so I loved it, right? So that was cool. And then once there was definitely some times in there where I thought I was ready to take a step up and move on to more, I guess, more responsibility and doing things beyond just the day to day. And there was some time there where I just didn't know how to do it. I couldn't figure it out. I thought I had everything I needed. I wasn't getting those opportunities, so clearly I didn't have everything I needed. I thought I was awesome, and why wouldn't they just give it to me? Obviously missing a little bit of information there, a little bit of naivety. But eventually I did get that opportunity to step up, and I moved up the ranks pretty quickly from there, and eventually into senior management and so on. And so once towards the end of that part of my career, I started getting involved in mentorship programs. And so one of the companies in particular that I worked at had a global mentorship program, and I joined as a mentor. And I thought, hey, I've been through a bunch of stuff. I could probably help some other people. And so I just signed up for it. And I ended up connecting with a handful of people across the world because I mostly worked in multinationals. And I just enjoyed it so much, the relationships that I formed, and that still exist today. And it was amazing to just sit down there and have a frank and open chat and say, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, or here's what I experienced. Don't do this because that was a bad idea. Just sharing everything openly and helping someone overcome or even just clarify their thinking about where they want to take their career. And I found that I enjoyed that immensely. And so much so that when I left corporate and moved out into originally small business, not my own, but someone else's. It took me about 6 months, and then I realized I kind of miss that mentoring stuff. So I decided I would start a side hustle and offer it to anyone who wants it, on the internet, right? The internet's a wild place. And I started on LinkedIn, and I just started putting myself out there and saying, here's all my thoughts, here's what I think. And if you want to have a chat to me, have a chat to me. And I still offer those free chats, to the career clarity calls that I call them, to this day. And I find them really valuable myself personally. And I assume that the people that use them also get a lot of value out of them.
Well,
and so that's
come back.
Yeah, and that's where this whole idea came from. Is it was I missed that feeling of helping those younger people, the younger generation, and so I decided to just do it because I was then in business for myself, and I could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's funny, as you were talking about your journey, I kept on thinking, he needs a mentor. He probably would have moved up faster if he had that mentor. And then
Huge mistake on my behalf. Yeah. Didn't have one at all. And really, like I had one really good boss, but no formal mentorship kind of situation until recently. I have one now, but could be 15 years too late, but better late than never.
never too late. Yeah. It's so impactful. And I like you, I mean, this is why I do what I do after retirement. I just thought I had probably 5 mentors through my career, and each one was different personality, but they helped me grow in different ways. And I think that being willing to ask and be open to have someone to share their ideas and their thoughts and give you guidance, I think is really important as you go on your journey as a leader.
Totally agree. I wish I didn't even know what a mentor was when I was, early. I'm like, it just never struck me.
Yeah.
It never even occurred to me. And it's such a shame because you get so much out of it. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, it's definitely, you need different people along the way. And that piece that you said about being open and willing to share your information, and some of it can be a bit, I guess, sensitive or a bit personal, but being able to and willing to ask for that help. That was also one of my huge, I guess, drawbacks, was that an unwillingness to ask for help. I'll figure it out myself. Oh, I'm smart. I'm capable. I'll figure this out myself. Instead of going, wait a minute, there's people out there that want to help. Why wouldn't you take them up on that?
And being willing to accept what they say. I think one of the tools that we have in our career path, this journey and all that, is the 360 evaluation. And a lot of people don't like it because they don't want to hear. We used to say, before you did your 360, truly look in the mirror and think about, who you are, and be vulnerable, be authentic, be willing to say, I suck at that. And how am I going to change? How am I going to change?
Yeah, I think that inviting criticism is one way for me that works, and what I recommend to people. Inviting criticism puts you in that frame of mind to accept the criticism rather than see it as a threat. So inviting it, saying, hey, look, I know, like, positive feedback's great. I love being complimented, but if I'm going to improve or change for the better, I need to know what to work on. So, tell me the bad stuff. Tell me what I'm doing that could be better or that's bad. And by asking for it, I definitely find that you put yourself in that ability to receive the feedback, the critical feedback, and actually take action on it, rather than when someone gives you unsolicited critical feedback, you're like, hey, that's a bit rough. Like, what are you doing? You're just having a go at me here. But if you ask for it, definitely find it's far more effective.
And those, part of the things that I found is really helpful in being the giver of that feedback is not just the what, not just the how you could change or improve, but why. Why are you doing this? What is it? What if you didn't do this? How would your life be? But what if you did? How would that make your life different? And when you start to open that window and that door to understanding, then people are more open to change.
Totally agree. The why piece, really, it does matter. I think deep down we all need to understand why we're doing what we're doing, rather than just blindly taking instructions, or saying, okay, that's the right thing to do just because someone said it's the right thing to do. But understanding the purpose behind it is it's empowering personally, and it helps you to stay motivated, and it helps you to stay consistent. And so understanding, why you do what it is you do and why you should do something different really does help.
And in your story, you talked about how you went to university. I love that, for just a little bit, and then you decided to do something different. And I'm 66, and so when we were young, it's like, when I told my dad that I wasn't going to college, I thought he was going to have a heart attack, and I had to promise that I would go to college at some point in my life. But I mean, they couldn't afford it. And, I knew I needed to contribute not only to my professional, personal self, but also to the family, to help my mom and dad. And so I took a career that I thought I wanted. And, I would have gone to 4 years to school. So I went to an accounting firm because I thought, I should probably be an accountant. That should be great. And so I worked as a secretary in an accounting firm after 6 months of a secretarial training. And I could observe accounting without doing accounting and learned that I did not want to be an accountant. So I saved a lot of money and a lot of years, but it was that journey. And it just so happened that was when, yes, then everybody laughed, the computers were coming to the market. So I was introduced to computers, and I was a terrible typist. I was great at shorthand, and I knew shorthand wasn't going to live forever. And so I said, I'll learn whatever this new thing is. And that willingness to say, I don't know what this is. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm willing to try. So when you get these young people that say, oh, Dan, I don't know what I want to do, how do you help them find the right career?
I always talk about, I think that trial and error is an underrated strategy personally. I think, and the reason that, well, how I explain that to the people that I work with is that we spend a lot of time trying to align something perfectly before we do it. We plan for things, we get ready for it, we read about it, we do all this stuff. But really, and I challenge people on this, how do you actually know if you enjoy something until you've really done it, and done it not just for a week, but for probably 6 months, maybe 12 months before you even start to get a concept of, hey, this might be for me, or this actually, you can usually strike it off pretty quick. You're like, oh no, this isn't for me. But there's that, oh, this could be a good opportunity. This could be something that works with who I am and my personality and my skills and my characteristics. So I think what I recommend people try as much as they can, but without being frivolous and without jumping from one to the other too quickly. We all, and me included, still to this day suffer from shiny object syndrome, as they call it. There's like, where's the next thing? Oh, that looks awesome. I'm going to try that. That novelty factor. And novelty is something that we as humans seek out, which is just something we're all intrigued by. It's why social media is so, huge, right? It's that novelty factor of interesting stuff. So I try to show people to strike that balance between a bit of tenacity, a bit of sticking something out, but don't stick it out forever, because you're like, oh, maybe after 3 years I'll like it. No, so there's that finding that, right? I mean, you figured it out after 6 months, right? So
no, actually, yeah, it was probably a year into it, but that's because I kept on thinking, well, I'll look at, there's different aspects of accounting. So I was like, well, maybe it's not tax. I know it's not tax. I did enough tax. Well, maybe the management consulting kind of was a little bit towards my wheelhouse, but then I thought, nah.
Yeah, so definitely like you did, you found a way to try before you buy, right? You found a way to see if something was for you by just being near it, getting involved in it, doing, right? Doing is the most important thing. Experience is the best teacher, as the saying goes, and it really is. I firmly support and believe in education. I have lots of education myself, but you learn more and you really cement it in your brain by doing it and trying it and getting involved. And so that's what I say to people. Once, there are things we can do to narrow the field of things that you should probably try that have a higher likelihood of being something that's good for you. If you knew that if you weren't a numbers person and you're going to like, I'm going to get into accounting, you're going to go, well, might not be for you. What are the things that you like innately as a person? Let's steer you towards something that is a bit more closely tied to that. And so you can narrow the field, but I still think that you don't ever really know until you do it, until you try. You try for a little bit of time.
I always looked at people's resume when I hired them to see how much volunteering they did, because volunteering is a great way to get exposure to not only different types of tasks and duties and things, but also gets you exposure to other, maybe more senior people than you that have nothing to do but chat with you for the hours that you're volunteering, and you learn from them about opportunities of things that you might investigate, and then maybe get an internship.
Yeah, and even without, I mean, the volunteering is an excellent use of your time if you don't have any opportunities in front of you. Like, obviously, we'd all kind of prefer to get paid if we could, because we've got to make a living, right? But those conversations with people in senior roles, or just anyone who's got some more life experience than you, they will tell you stuff. They will give you unsolicited advice always, which is
Always.
great. And you take it on board, and you pick the stuff that works for you. Don't you got to have a little bit of a critical eye for the advice that you receive from anyone, and me and you included, right? We all have to go, okay, well, that's what worked for you. But it's valuable information that you can take and contextualize for your own situation and use it to help you make better decisions.
So you talk about cultivating flow. So how do people cultivate flow in their career growth?
So we all have, I think I did, and tell me if I'm wrong in your experience, but we all get kind of conditioned into this concept that a career is quite structured and linear, and it's the step A and then the step B and then the step C, and it's all very straightforward and laid out in front of you, and it's obvious. And in my experience, that's a load of crap.
That's
and
fair.
and right, and I don't think I've met anyone, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, that had what they would consider a straight line or linear career path. And so the flow is about getting into this mindset where you're thinking about, what could be the next steps, and what are the things that I could take on next, without putting the blinkers on and focusing on like, well, I need to be, I'm a accountant, I need to be a senior accountant. And when I'm become a senior accountant, I need to become the CFO, or whatever the process is that you think is the natural progression. I kind of think I've really thought about this a lot, and I don't know where this gets drummed into us from a young age, from school, from university, college, and I think probably pop culture and media is where it comes from. Is my thinking. That's where it comes from, and we all get conditioned into thinking there's this, you step up from this role to this role. You're a junior, and then a junior associate, and then you're an associate, and then you're a senior associate, and so on and so forth. And I've not met someone who's done that at all, ever. And so, the flow piece is around, understanding that opportunities can come from anywhere, and having the wherewithal, the visibility of, hey, what's going on around me, to know, hey, that looks like it's really interesting. How about I explore that? And then maybe dipping your toe in and having a feel of the water's warm, and hey, is that something I'd like to explore further? And that openness to opportunity and change is part of it. And but then having what I like to call a direction or a vision for your career. Not I want to be in X role at X company by X date. Here's what I want to do with my career. For me, it's pretty simple. I like working with people, and I like helping people overcome their problems, and I like helping them achieve their own version of success. So that could take on any number of forms, but it's a very clear thing to me. But I can hold that and go like, all right, if that's my vision, here's an opportunity in front of me. Does that take me closer to my direction, or does it take me further away, or is it a sideways step? That's fine too. But by having that bigger picture, which is a little bit fuzzy, but you know what it means to you, it allows you to look at opportunities and go, hey, does that fit my idea, my vision, my direction for my career? If it's a complete 180, you go like, hey, even though it might look like a shiny object that looks really cool, it doesn't quite fit into the vision I had for myself. And it opens up more opportunities, because you don't say, the blinkers are on, you say no to a lot of things. Well, no, I want that job. That's the next step for me. The next step is this role at this company. And you by laser focusing on something that I guess specific, rigidly, that's where you'll miss out on things that that happen while you're paying attention to your goals.
I think that's one of the reasons why I teach the leadership, the different leadership than I had when I was coming up the corporate ladder. Because I think if I have the skills and understanding and belief in myself as a leader, then when opportunities come, I'll be less apt to say no, because I have those tools in my toolbox that can allow me really to succeed anywhere, from a leadership perspective. Obviously, those are things that are in your values and behavior and things that I can't teach you. I can help you develop, but it has to be you that wants to do that. But then once you get into, aerospace, well, I can give you manuals and processes and procedures that you can learn. But if you want to ever start to excel in your worth and that company, then you need the leadership piece. So let me teach you that now at whatever level you are, so you're prepared for whatever opportunities come. So what are some challenges that those young professionals that work with you come whenever they're on that career journey and they get them stuck?
So the stuck piece. A lot of people get stuck or feel stuck, especially early in their careers. I did, for sure. And so the leadership piece is really, really important. And in my experience and opinion, the way that we train our leaders of the future is not structured or consistent enough. Anyway, and in every single organization that I've ever been a part of is exactly the same. It's not a conscious. I bet there are companies out there that do it really well. I just haven't worked in one, but I think they're few and far between. And so, understanding that, as you clearly already know, leadership starts from the very beginning, and leadership is not. It's not a title. It's the ability to influence others and with the positive intent and get the outcomes that the team is trying to reach. And so, a lot of people see, especially young people, see people in leadership positions and think, oh, they've got it made and that's where I want to be. And there's just, right, there's this assumption that that's what success looks like. And then you get there and you go, whoa, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And so, some of the troubles that come through is people will often come in and say, I feel like I'm doing everything I can, but I feel like there's just I'm missing some information that's just not being shared with me, or I'm missing some, there's some secret code or something like that to unlock, to, get to the next level. And I definitely see, and I was very guilty of this, a strong focus on like tangible output delivery, technical skills. Hey, I need the value and self-worth is because I can deliver X or I can deliver Y. And even when I was promoted into my first leadership role, there's definitely that feeling of, I don't really know what I'm delivering here. These guys are paying me a lot of money. I feel like I should be doing something. And it probably took me, I reckon, 3 or 4 years before you get to the point where you actually sit there and accept, no, my job is facilitating this. It's bringing people together. It's motivating them. It's helping them on their journey. It's supporting them. It's having these kind of chats with them that really help them bring the best out in themselves. And that is valuable. And it doesn't need to be a report. It doesn't need to be, something ultra tangible, as long as the results are happening. And so that stuck piece is definitely something that comes up quite frequently. And I help, predominantly, I help people manage or focus on their softer skills, the human skills. And that includes everything from managing their manager to negotiation skills, and then even just basic human interaction, right? I've worked with a lot of engineers. I have a background in technical things myself. And there is definitely a, when you come from a highly, highly technical background, you tend to value that a lot more. And it's hard to switch your brain over from that really in-depth technical mode to the, okay, I need to do the human piece now, and the interaction and the relationships. And so, having those, you don't want to throw those tech skills away. They're extremely valuable, but you need to be able to complement them with the soft skills. Because once you have both, you watch out, because you're going to go pretty far.
Crush it. Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, I saw somebody that was really, really good at those pivot tables, but
Mm.
not so much in building a team.
Yeah.
So it's time now for us to share my screen. If you have enjoyed this conversation, and we could go on and talk about this for days, but if you've
Yep.
enjoyed this conversation and you really want to get to know Dan a little bit better and see maybe if he could help you in your navigating your path to employment and entrepreneurship. And for me, it was, almost 40 years in corporate to becoming an entrepreneur at retirement. So definitely there is a correlation there that you continue to grow, continue to develop. So
Never
I'm going
too
to
late,
share.
obviously, though, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's all
important.
right. That's all right.
People think young people especially, they think, oh, it's too late for me. I'm like, mate, you're 25, settle down. Like, you got so much time.
Heck yeah. You can screw up a lot and still get yourself back in order.
Yep.
So if you're just listening, you should quickly go grab that paper, pencil, or pen to be able to write the website information to be able to connect, as well as we have some social media sites here. I think he's on everything there is. So the website is dandevries.com. Again, dandevries.com. And on Facebook, it's DDV Coaching. That's David kind of, or Dan V Coaching. So DDV Coaching. I don't want to confuse you anymore. Underscore for Instagram is _DDV Coaching. LinkedIn is, you just search his name, you'll find him, Dan.
Yes, you will.
De Vries. Twitter is that DDV Coaching. And so is TikTok is at DDV_coaching. And YouTube is at Dan de Vries. I'm going to turn it over to Dan to talk to you about some things that you might find on his website that might be helpful, resources, links, as well as the place that he spends the most time in, that social media, so you can connect and instantly chat with him. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Vicki. So the website, dandevries.com, there's a bunch of free material on there. I give away, a free initial consultation, which I call a career clarity session. For anyone who wants it, you can jump on there, book it, find a time that works for you, and it'll come straight to my inbox. And then we'll end up on a video chat like this, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about your career. I am on Facebook and Instagram. I am most active on LinkedIn. I'm a bit of a tragic. I'm on LinkedIn every day. So if you want to like send me a message on LinkedIn. I have an open profile. You can DM me even if you are in no way connected. I've got an open profile for open emails. Twitter, everyone has to have a Twitter, but TikTok, I'm reasonably active too, because that's where the young people are. So I make TikToks most days. And YouTube is there for some longer form stuff. But if you want, I've got some free courses coming out, things like, how to leverage AI to improve your career when you're early in your career, all sorts of fun stuff like that. On the website, it's all there. And that's where you would book your free session too.
Fantastic. All this information will be on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. Well, Dan, it was just great chatting with you. You gave wonderful advice. And, a lot of people, not only young people, but a lot of people today are trying to figure out, what is it that I want to really do now? COVID gave us a lot of time to think about what we're doing, and in a lot of ways deciding that maybe what I've been doing all this time is no longer what I need to be doing. So I hope and encourage the audience to check out Dan's website to be able to see what's out there for you and maybe make a change.
Thanks, Vicki. That was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.